Tradwife movement. And, if you have thoughts on that, I'd love to hear them. It's kind of strange. In a way. I mean, my mom was a Tradwife, right? A traditional wife, stayed at home, raised 4 boys. Then when we were all growing up, she basically raised 2 of my brother's kids. He and his wife both worked, and so all day, every day, weekdays they were at mom's house, mom and dad's house. But mom was home and dad went to work. I'm not hysterically or upsettedly or angrily or whatever ranting about women who want to be homemakers. I mean, I was a homemaker for 2 years. Louise ran one of our, we started an ad agency, and she, well, actually, also when she ran the travel agency for a while, she and I started businesses together, and then she's such a better manager than I am that she basically took them over. And that has happened with pretty much all of our businesses. So I've been a trad husband, I guess, But there is a kind of dark side to this. The Tradwife obsession, in my opinion, is what is motivating the whole Texas Republican Party. It's what it's what's driving them to want to stop abortion and everything else. The story. I start the article today with the story of Josh and Amanda Zarowski, who lived in Texas. They just bought a beautiful home, with a view of a lake and golf course. And Amanda was pregnant. They were looking forward to their first child. And then they ran afoul of the Tradwife obsession of the Texas Republican Party. The zygote had not attached itself to the wall of her uterus. It was instead growing in or on or near her fallopian tubes, which is called an ectopic pregnancy, which pretty much 100% of the time kills women when it ruptures and they go septic and then they die of sepsis. And she went to the hospital and she got turned away because, it was more than 6 weeks. So there's this little tiny bundle of cells that eventually become a heart. They don't become a heart for several months, but they start twitching in a way that can be detected. And the anti-abortion freaks for years have been saying, oh, that's a heartbeat. Well, it's not a heartbeat. There's no heart. There's literally no heart. But because that thing was, those cells were twitching, the doctors were afraid to give her an abortion because they thought that, they knew that they faced 91 years in prison under Texas law if they did that. And they just, weren't ready to do it. So she got turned away from the hospital, and they said, just go home. She came back 3 days later in sepsis, literally dying. She had hours to live. And finally, they relented and they removed the zygote, to quote Sam Alito, the baby. It ruined her fallopian tube. She's now sterile. She's going to have to revert to IVF if she wants to have a baby. Many of these people in the anti-abortion movement, which is tied to and part of the Tradwife movement, say that they're really about saving children. But I think we all know that's BS, right? The real goal is to disempower women and elevate the power and role of men in the workplace, in the home, and in politics. And, like I said, I'm not trashing women who want to become homemakers. I mean, or men who want to become homemakers. Many of us have done that, and certainly most all of our parents did that. My mom was a Tradwife, a traditional wife. She raised 4 boys. I think I already mentioned that. So, Trump comes along and says, just horrible things about women. He said, if Hillary Clinton can't satisfy her husband, what makes her think she can satisfy America? See, she wasn't a Tradwife, right? He tells Esquire magazine, arm candy is essential for a successful businessman. It doesn't really matter what the media write as long as you're young and beautiful and you've got a young and beautiful piece of ass. It's a verbatim quote from Donald Trump. He sarcastically called Kamala Harris a beautiful woman. So, and then J.D. Vance, he's been pushing the Tradwife meme for some time. And, basically what the Republicans say is they want to take us back to the 1950s, to this, mom in the kitchen kind of thing and all that stuff. What they don't point out is in the 1950s and 1960s, women didn't really have a choice. And, which is probably true of my mother, too. But when Republicans say that your grandmother stayed with your grandfather and should be your role model, they fail to point out that women 3 generations ago really had few choices unless they were independently wealthy. Employers could refuse to hire women because of their gender as late as 1964. Home sellers and real estate agents could refuse to sell a house to women up until 1974. It wasn't until 1988 that the law changed, so landlords can't refuse to rent to single women. Spousal rape was not criminalized until 1993. When Louise and I got married in 1972, she couldn't get a credit card. She couldn't sign a mortgage. She couldn't buy a car without a signature from a man, whether it was me, her brother, or her father. She couldn't even serve on a jury. Women were not allowed jury duty. She couldn't get a no-fault divorce. She couldn't enroll in an Ivy League college. They were all men only. And, of course, if she'd gotten pregnant and it was an unwanted pregnancy, she'd be, SOL until Roe v. Wade came along. So here now in 20 states, Republicans have succeeded in removing from women the one thing that actually allows them to successfully function in the workplace, which is control over their reproductive capacity, which includes birth control, which they're going after now, and abortion. And they're also going after DEI, by the way, and the principal beneficiaries, more than 50% of all the people who benefit from DEI are white women. Well, these guys don't want white women in the workplace. There's a couple of different motivations for these people pushing these Tradwife roles. One is men want submissive wives. Another is that some of these men are white supremacists who think that Tradwifery will produce more white babies. I mean, this movement is largely confined to white people, white conservatives. And many like J.D. Vance argue or imply that women in the workplace simply drive down wages by competing with men for jobs. So, here we are. The bottom line is that, Tradwifery shouldn't be an option, should be an option for women and men. As I said, I was a stay-at-home dad for 2 years. But it shouldn't be the only option. It's just that simple.